Government has pretty much laughed off the idea of a UFO, right? But that changed on Friday when the Director of National Intelligence released a congressionally mandated report.
The report cites 143 cases since 2004 that the government cannot explain, but perhaps our next guest can. He is Mick West, a writer and debunker of bogus science. He says he's investigated hundreds of claims over the years since he sold his video game company and has had the time. So Mick, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, glad to be here.
Okay, hundreds of cases. What are you looking for in these cases to debunk this idea that that truly was a UFO?
Well, when you analyze a UFO case, what you're really trying to do is figure out what is actually being shown on screen or what people are actually describing. So you take the image on screen, like here we have a flashing green triangle, and you try to figure out what possibly could create that image. And in this case, it turned out to be a thing called bokeh, which is an effect caused by the triangular aperture in certain types of camera lenses, which actually makes out of focus things look like they are triangles.
Okay.
So someone here had a night vision camera and they just pointed it up, and some of the things you're seeing in that scene are actually stars. These things at the start of the scene are actually the planet Jupiter earlier in that scene. So you can do this analysis and figure out what's going on.
So you seem to know what the answer is to this one, but in the whole report, there were a lot of unanswered questions, right? Not a lot of conclusions.
Sure.
Is it just hot air? Let me ask you first and foremost, do you believe? You're an investigator. Do you believe?
Well, I believe that there's aliens out there in the universe. The big question is if there are any aliens here. And that, unfortunately, is where we have a dearth of evidence. We really don't have very strong evidence. And that is something that this report, I think, really reflected. I think it's actually a very good report in that it accurately relates the actual situation that we have here, that there are things in the sky that are unidentified, but we don't really have very good evidence that they are anything particularly amazing. And you'll notice the report doesn't even mention aliens. They talk about other things that are much more mundane, things like airspace clutter, birds and balloons, and drones and things like that. Things that are actual issues. They're important things to identify and deal with, but they're not aliens.
Okay, well, speaking of aliens, you just said you do believe that there are aliens out there. Do you have evidence of that? And are you talking about, higher thinking aliens, or are you talking about like simple life forms?
What are you talking?
Well, it's really about a numbers game here. We know how big the universe is. We know that this galaxy alone has billions of stars and that there are billions of galaxies. So it seems inevitable that if you go through the entire universe, you're going to find other life out there. The problem is we don't really have any evidence. You look out and we can do things like study the atmosphere of other planets for some kind of signature of life. We haven't detected that. We would think other civilizations would put things around their suns and we could detect the suns kind of dimming. We don't see that either. So there's no real evidence.
Okay.
But really people are interested in the evidence of aliens visiting. And there we have a lot of ambiguous evidence, but nothing really definitive.
Let me ask you this, because there's this idea, right, that they're always around some sort of military ship or a military plane,
Area
catches
54.
it, in a distant black and white grainy image. Why specifically in those military areas?
Well, this is something they actually talk about in the report. They say that clusters have emerged, but then they go on to talk about why that is. And there's a thing called the bias, like reporting bias or a confirmation bias. People around military areas are much more prone to report things simply because they are on the lookout and they have high-tech information. So if you're a guard outside a nuclear base and you see a light in the sky, you're much more likely to report it than just some guy on the street. So we get this kind of reporting bias where it seems like there are more reports. And pretty much all of this study was done by the Navy, and it was focused on Navy training areas. And so they focused pretty much on reports by Navy pilots. So it seems like UFOs are following Navy pilots around. But really, it's just the report was following Navy pilots around, and this is what the Navy pilots saw.
Okay.
All right, I want to bring in Ben because he's got a burning question.
Isn't it a point, like, if there were aliens visiting our world or whoever they are, wouldn't they land and get out of their ships and be like, hell, wouldn't they want to make contact other than just kind of like popping in and out? Wouldn't they want to establish themselves in civilization and have a I mean, I wouldn't want to have a
That's if
conversation with
it's like
us.
a higher form of alien, right?
Well, any alien, any kind of
I mean,
space.
if it's like an amoeba or
Sure.
something.
No, you know, amoeba. I don't know if it's flying the ship. I don't know if an amoeba is flying the ship, but like if it's like an actual being, wouldn't that being want to establish some kind of communicative?
I mean, there's a lot here on
contact?
Earth, yeah.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. But you know, we can't really speculate what the aliens' motives are. But
Yeah.
if they
Well,
are visiting us,
we thought you could.
They really seem to be being very cagey about what they're doing.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
too subtle. Like
We thought
that's
you
why I'm with you. Like I think a lot of these
So,
things are just flair.
You know,
and-
we had Neil deGrasse Tyson on who said it's 2021, right? And there's so many cameras, Ring doorbells, there's surveillance cameras, everybody's got a cell phone, and all we have are these grainy images
Yeah.
in a distant, which makes him think that there may be something out there, but maybe not.
Yeah, and they're always grainy, no matter which camera you have. If you have a cell phone camera, then they're like a few 100 feet away and grainy. If you have your super telephoto camera, like they do in the Navy, then they're many miles away and grainy. And I think the fact that we don't have these close-up images is a very good indication that what we're simply seeing is just the random things that we happen not to be able to identify.
Yeah, because it's like, how did, maybe their ship can't get through our atmosphere.
Right.
Who knows? Can we just see the back of your head for a second?
Make sure you're real.
So make sure there's no zipper. What? He's not turning around.
He's not plugged in.
He's like, I'm done with you people. I'm going back
poor
to my
man.
alien
No,
searching.
it's all real here.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on this
Thanks
morning
for
and
putting up with us today.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
No, thank you very much. It's
Okay.
a fascinating topic, and hopefully we will find something, but not yet.
Well, when we do, we'll be calling you, Mick. All right?
Okay,
Let us know if you
Okay,
find
thank-
something. All right.
I'll
take
keep
care.
looking.
Okay.
Can you imagine talking to that guy during Christmas? Well, if Santa Claus is real, then how do you expect him to like going through all they're just like breaking all the stereotype, all the people, everything people speculate
Ben,
about.
kids are watching right now.
I know Santa Claus is real, and aliens. Hey, come on! There can't be that many galaxies in the universe and not have other life on these planets. I think, but like I said, I think if they were this close to the Earth, they would come and get out of their ships and have a pizza.
I think